Hello, everybody. My name is Jacob Wolf.
Christopher Hoisington, and this is day 48. Art Life video blog. We're here with Jeffrey Howard. You go by Jeff or Jeffrey?
Jeffrey.
Jeffrey Howard. We're at his home. I love this place.
Thank you.
It was really nice.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It's a work in progress.
It's like 3 stories high. It was one of the old Portland buildings.
This is the first house on the block. Yeah, it was built in 1904,
Wow.
and I bought it 100 years later.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really? You bought it in 2004?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It needs a lot of work, but it's just beautiful.
You should have seen it when I bought it.
Yeah.
I believe it.
This is great.
Thank you.
So Jeffrey is a curator and an art collector and appreciator. Obviously, as we can tell by the art that's around your home. Do you want to tell us how you first got into being a curator?
Yeah, sure. Well, it started in 2000 when a gal moved into my house. My animals.
This is Mary.
This is Mary, Marilyn Monroe.
Marilyn Monroe.
Mary's a boy. But he's the spitting image of Marilyn Monroe. So in 2000, I lived in a different house, obviously, and just up the street in the Alberta Arts District.
Uh-huh.
And I was renting a room, so this gal moved in, and her name's Suzanne Elizabeth, and she just graduated with a Bachelor of Fine Arts from University of Puget Sound, and she had some shows at local like coffee shops and stuff, but she didn't have a car, so I just started helping her take her art to these cafes. I helped her hang it. You know, I have some carpentry skills. In fact, I've done all the work on this house myself.
Impressive.
Thanks. And so I just helped her and started like doing whatever she needed. And, you know, she had a lot of shows at restaurants and stuff,
Uh-huh.
bars, and you guys are in the restaurant business, so you know
Yeah.
that restaurant owners are crazy people.
They
I mean,
sure
they
are.
are so, it's such a difficult business to make money in, and when you're working with a sole proprietor, that's every, you know, toothpick represents their money. So they've got a lot on their minds, and I knew that because I've been in the restaurant business for, you know, ever since I was in high school.
Yeah.
So it had been like 15 years at that point that I was doing restaurant work. So I knew how to talk to them, and sometimes there were conflicts between Susie and, you know, the restaurant business. So, you know, I would negotiate with them and just make things run smoothly, you know. And then eventually I started just, you know, helping with strategy, marketing, financial planning, and working with other artists.
Now you have a college degree in marketing. Is that correct? Or
No, actually, I learned my trade in the restaurant business.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
so yeah, you moved up into actually promoting restaurants.
Yeah, yeah.
Ultimately.
Yeah, I was doing operations first and then marketing for
Okay.
national restaurant chains, which is the soul-sucking business.
Yeah. But something about the promotional aspect of it, or did you just sort of fall into it?
Well, you know, I mean, it was better than waiting tables or, you know, managing a restaurant. So I just wanted to get out of operations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lower stress?
Oh no, much more stress, but it wasn't so grimy, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't have grease on me all the time, and I didn't, you know.
And you
wasn't
don't
like
tear
running all over the place, sweating like a pig
Yeah.
for 12 hours a day,
And your
and then
feet
going
hurt.
and sitting at the computer and doing. Yeah.
And your back hurts.
I mean, marketing is, at first, it's a lot of grunt work too, but you know, there's also a real cerebral aspect in the planning of it, which is what I really get into.
So now you're curating. You said 15 spaces.
Mhm. Portland and the Bay Area.
Wow.
Mhm.
You travel between the two quite a bit.
Yeah, about once or twice a month.
Okay.
And I take artists' work from here to show in the Bay Area, and
Vice versa.
yeah, I now represent artists in the Bay Area that show in Portland.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did you go about collecting artists? Is it word of mouth from the artists that have worked with you and are pleased with the work that you've done for them?
Yeah, a lot of times.
Craigslist was the way that I met you.
Right, because I was looking for sculptors, and
Yeah.
I was having a difficult time finding the right kind of sculptors. So when it gets desperate, I'll put an ad on Craigslist. But that happens pretty rarely. Most of the time, I meet artists through the other artists that I represent. They're friends of theirs, or an artist will want to show at one of my venues, and so I'll meet them that way. And sometimes I'll just do, just the one show at that venue, and sometimes they end up working with me for years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I heard about you. We did an interview with Christopher Knox.
Yeah.
And he said that you represent him, and that not only would you be a good interview, but that you could lead us to plenty more interviews.
Absolutely, yeah.
And obviously, we were excited about that.
Yeah.
And I think I kind of told you a little bit, like, what you do is what we aspire to do.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
we want spaces to where we can show art from local artists. Like, we're trying to...
Well, I don't
Trying to
know.
help.
I mean, it's not exactly the same thing.
Not
because
exactly,
Jeffrey's representing specific artists for specific reasons in specific spaces, and what we're trying to do is be a promotional entity just like you, but we're creating our own space, with our own, and it's a little different.
Yes.
Because
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
just to be clear, my main goal for my business is to help artists manage their businesses.
Yeah.
So the curating is part of a marketing strategy for my artists. I want to have my artists have spaces to show their work.
So you're more like a manager than
I
a
am.
curator.
Yeah, but I also do a lot of work to maintain those spaces. So I'm curating at them, and I provide a service to those businesses so that they don't have to find artists and things like that. But the reason I started doing that is because my artists need spaces to show their work. And then that's the primary goal. So everything that I do comes back to helping my artists manage their business, usually grow their business. I mean, most people want their business to grow. I did actually talk to an artist one time who told me that she didn't want to sell her work because she thought it was bourgeois. And I was like, okay, well, this isn't going to work out. 'Cause why, I mean, that's what I do, is I help artists sell their work. And sometimes they go years and years without selling anything at all. But, there's always things that we can do to build their business. And then when they start selling, that's great. So specifically to your point, your question, is that those spaces are in service of a larger goal for me.
Yeah.
Christopher Knox, he said that you inspire him. You light a fire under his ass sometimes.
I do that, yeah.
And so how does that process work for you?
Well, it starts with the artist's goals. So whenever I start to work with an artist, the first thing that we do is have a conversation about what they want out of their art. Sometimes they want to sell a lot of work and just make a lot of money and see their work out in the world. Sometimes they want to focus on very specific projects. And sometimes they already have a customer base, a clientele that buys their work, collectors and so forth. Sometimes they have just moved here from someplace else and they have nothing. So we start there and figure out what it is that they want and where they're at. And then we make a plan to get them there.
Okay.
So, did that answer your question?
Yeah, that's great.
So if my artists say their goal is to have, 2 shows a year, and we schedule a show, say, for March, and in February, I'm like, hey, how's it going? Oh, I haven't painted anything yet. Well, you better start, because we've got a show in a month, you know? So part of my role frequently is to make sure that they're staying on track, because, a lot of times they have what I call their second job.
Right.
But that's the job generally at first, anyway, that's paying the bills.
Right.
Restaurant business,
It just
something like that.
sucks the energy out of you.
It does. It takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of focus away from what most artists say that their primary interest is.
Right.
So my job in that case is to make sure that the second job is a means to an end and that they're staying focused on their work. So sometimes I'm calling an artist every other day and being like, remember,
that's really
you're an
awesome.
artist, you're not a waitress.
I mean, it's really hard. It is, as an artist. I mean, I've been an artist for a very long time, and sometimes the hardest thing to do is pick up a brush, and it is. It's what I love.
Right.
It's what I live for. But
Right.
in order to go there, you know, pick up the brush and get the paints out and get started. I mean, it's just this horrendous hurdle to get past. And once I'm there and I start working, I can usually get into a mode of
Right.
functioning within that. But it's the biggest hurdle is to just
So if I was working with you and you told me that,
yeah.
what I would say is, let's look at your time management. Like,
Right.
what is it that you're doing on a daily, weekly basis? You have a job. How many hours are you working? You know, how many hours do you need for painting? And let's break that up. And you know, sometimes when I make a plan like that for an artist, we look at it and we see, you know, you could take one day, you could work one day fewer each week and get the show done and still have enough money to live. And then whatever we sell from that show is gravy.
Right.
Or you can take 2 days off. It's a little bit of a risk, but in the end, we'll sell enough work that, you know, it'll make it worth it. So my goal in that situation is to be planning ahead, looking down the road, you know, a couple weeks, a month, a year, to make sure that you're moving toward your goals and you're not getting bogged down in the minutia, because, you know, we all do. I mean, I have somebody who does that for me. You know, I have a business manager who looks at my business and says, what are your goals in a year? Are you making them, or are you getting bogged down in the minutia? Because it's easy to do.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, I didn't even know that people like you existed.
I've only met one other person who does what I do.
See, I was going to ask him that.
He's
I
in
was
New
going to
York.
ask him that. And you've basically developed this thing on your own,
Yeah.
basically. And you saw that artists had a need for this thing.
Yep.
And is there something about art or artists that turns your crank, or did you just kind of find a niche for yourself?
Yeah, well, both. I mean, I love art. I'm an intensely visual person, and I've always had artists for friends, and they've always had these needs. I even tried to be an artist at one point, but I have to get very, very high in order to focus on one thing for any length of time.
I have to get high just to function in life.
So I just do much better when I have, you know, many things that I can organize, 5 or 6 things to do at once. That's my comfort zone. That's
It's like
what
your
I'm good at.
divine gift or something.
It is. I'm just
multitasking or something.
Yeah, I'm not good at, you know, I tried drawing, I tried painting, I tried, you know, building things out of cardboard. And, you know, I mean, even working on this house, you know, I can do it for, you know, short bursts.
Yeah.
But then I need to do something else. And then I have the background. So, yeah, I just, I mean, I could, like, and I did use my skills in marketing and business management and operations in the restaurant business for 25 years, but I'm not in, you know, at first it was great because it was creative.
Right.
And I worked for sole proprietors who had a vision for their restaurant, for their food, for the experience that they wanted to provide, and that was exciting to me. But then, you know, when the economy tanked and I ended up having to work for a corporation, their vision is so, it isn't inspiring to me for the most part. Those big restaurant chains.
This cat squeaks.
Yeah. If you're not paying close attention to him, he'll let you know. He'll remind you. So I wanted to be inspired again. And so that's why I started working with artists again.
How do the artists inspire you?